Hello everyone, Loomer here again, and today I'm bringing you the second match that I had recorded from of Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer that I had recorded at San Diego Comic-Con last month. So this is the only other match I recorded. As you can probably guess, I meant to I meant to put this up on my channel a lot earlier than now, but those of you that have been subscribed to me for a while now probably know that I'm probably the worst person in the world when it comes to regularly scheduled uploads or anything like that, so hopefully one day I'll figure it out. But anyway, this is actually kind of, it's from Comic-Con, but it's also kind of a first for my channel because this is actually not me playing for once. I think this is the first video on my channel where it's not me playing the game. So this is actually the gameplay of a person named Nicolas Lefebvre. I hope I didn't butcher the French too much on that. Anyway, Nicholas is a product manager at Ubisoft on the Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer, and he was kind enough to help me record my match earlier, and we talked about a lot of stuff too. He's a really cool guy, but since he was nice enough to help me out, we both thought it would be cool to record a match of him playing as well. And since I figured you know, they're not doing a beta this year and everything, you guys probably want as much footage of the AC3 multiplayer as you can get. So he's a product manager on AC3 multiplayer, so he's more, I think it's, from what I understand of Ubisoft, it's more on like the marketing side than the development side per se on the multiplayer. But I think he still does a really good job, especially towards the end of the match. You also have to remember that all these matches that we record aren't like, they're not cherry picking the best matches or whatever. They're also just like kind of, you know, you record one match and whatever it is, yeah, we'll just use that. But yeah, so it's kind of cool. I hope you guys enjoy the the kind of variety. You can see this is still on Northwest Passage, but this is also a look at the night version of Northwest Passage that was new for Comic-Con. At E3 they only had the day version that had the weather effects in it, so it's a little different. You might be able to see the Aurora Borealis, as I had trouble pronouncing when I was interviewing Damien, as you can see. Anyway, so the other thing to note that's worth noting about everything regarding AC3 multiplayer is that since my last video there have been two more that I can think of kind of bits of information that have come out, or places to get it from. The first is that I actually did a episode of the official Assassin's Creed podcast last weekend, which, as you know, is hosted by Esco Blades and David Raincourt, UBD Light, or UBD as he's known now. And so we talked with Tim Brown, who is the lead game designer on Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer. Some of you might know him as Nitch on Twitter. It's N1TCH on Twitter. But he was really cool, and I've talked to him a little bit at the conventions, not nearly as much as Damien, but I have talked to him at like E3 and Comic-Con. He's a really cool guy, and we talked about a lot of stuff. It's like an hour-and-a-half podcast, so you should definitely go check that out. The other thing that came up in the last week or two is that Damien Keegan, the game director for AC3 multiplayer, did an interview with Wingspan TT, which I think most of you should probably know by now. You know, I've always been a big fan of Wingspan's videos and stuff. I think he's a really cool guy. And so he did a written interview, probably over email or something, with Damien, and so that's up on his toptiertactics.com website. And so I'll put a link to that in the video description as well. So you should definitely go check those out if you're looking for more Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer information. So, you know, at this point, there's been a ton of information that's released about the Assassin's Creed 3 multiplayer, to the point where I think we can really start, you know, forming a pretty good idea of how it's going to play, what they've been doing to kind of fix things from the previous games. And so I'm going to do something that I don't do nearly enough, which is I'm going to ask you guys. I'm really curious as to what people think about everything you've heard so far as improvements that are being made, everything you've seen, everything you've heard. You know, are you looking forward to it? Are you still skeptical? Are you still kind of cynical or feeling kind of burned by how poorly Revelations was handled in a lot of cases? Because it's... I'll give you my perspective on this. I've been actually really kind of impressed and amazed at just how many things that they're trying to fix in Assassin's Creed 3. Like, it's way more than I ever expected. Like, I expected them to tackle maybe a few of the issues. I didn't think they'd try to get rid of the stun prompt. And it's like pretty much almost, not every single little annoyance, but nearly every single little annoyance I had with Revelations or even Brotherhood, it seems like they're addressing in Assassin's Creed 3. In the podcast, you'll hear me ask Tim near the end, even just about, like, you know, the music tracks and the whispers, and it's like, are you guys gonna separate that? And he says, oh yeah, we're gonna do that. You'll be able to separate the music from the whispers so that the music doesn't overpower the whispers like it sometimes did in Revelations and stuff. And I was actually really surprised by that. I kind of figured they would just be like, oh yeah, we kind of thought about it, but we didn't get around to it or something. And so it's like, overall, I've been really impressed not only with the amount of things they're trying to tackle, but also the amount of communication that they've just been having. Because for the longest time, you know, it's like the Anstey studio was kind of just this, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like, if people had complaints, it was like kind of like just shouting at a wall or something. They were just this kind of entity, you know, really separated from Montreal, that just never communicated, and when they did, it was through like you know, a chain of like 3 people before it got to us. And it was just really frustrating because it seemed like they never listened to us, and like there was no communication really, and it was just really, it was easy to just kind of rail against this faceless entity. And it's been really interesting to see, especially Damien, kind of really put a face to everything and be really more open about, you know, and being willing to talk about pretty much anything, like pretty much every problem, you know, more or less that has been an issue with these games, he's been willing to talk about. And same with Tim, to his credit. And so I think that more than anything else really gives me a lot of hope for this game. And at this point, it's like I can see they've tried to tackle most of the issues. You know, this game is going to have issues no matter what when it launches, because that's just the way it's going to be. It might not, you know, the severity of the issues might vary, but the important thing is just what I've been trying to emphasize with, you know, whenever I do these interviews, whenever I get a chance, is to kind of just emphasize like the post-launch support, and they've been giving like good indicators on that as well. So I'm still slightly skeptical of that, but you know, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because it seems like they've tried to address a lot of things so far with all this stuff. It definitely seems like the game is definitely going to be kind of the pinnacle of what Revelations could have been, and not so much Brotherhood, right? So if you loved the style of Brotherhood, and you just hated the basic concepts of Revelation, like the approach meter and stuff, it's like they're putting in the ambush bonus and everything, but it's still fundamentally still the same, you know, approach meter and everything. And so it's like, if you were a fan of Brotherhood and you just never saw a way that you would ever like Revelations mechanics, then you probably will like AC3 a little better, but it's not going to be Brotherhood, right? But I always thought Revelations had some good ideas that were not quite executed as well as they could have been, especially with the lack of post-launch support really kind of hurting it quite a bit. And so I'm actually pretty excited to see it kind of fully realized here. At the same time, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little, like, slightly, I don't know if upset's the right word, but it's a lot. It just seems a lot of these fixes should have been in Revelations, right? That's the kind of the one thing that's kind of been bugging me about all of this, right? Is that Smoke Bomb, there's no reason Smoke Bomb shouldn't be on like a 90-second cooldown in Revelations. It's one of the easiest things to do in this game, I think, if you're going to fix anything, and it would make such a huge difference. But putting all that aside, I think overall I've chosen to be, shall we say, cautiously optimistic about how this is going to turn out. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say, how many of you agree with me on that. So let me know in the comments. So what's next for me? I'll be going to PAX in a couple weeks, so maybe I'll get a few videos out of that. We'll see. That'll be really cool to see like a bunch of people again, like Gabe and Esco and all those people. I'm gonna try to... I'm more settled in since my move, and I'm going to try... I've upgraded a lot of my equipment, and so I think I might be able to live stream pretty well on YouTube. So I'm going to work really hard at setting that up. And if I can get the live streaming going, I think it would be really cool to make it at least somewhat regular, a somewhat regular thing. And we can do kind of things like open lobbies, subscriber challenges, just all kind of in a live environment. I've also got the gears turning on a few other kind of projects and stuff. But it's kind of still the initial phases for that, so we'll see how that turns out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.